A new year, a new start, a new look at January 6th. Was it a riot? Was it an insurrection? Or was it a piece of propaganda that was used to legitimize further authority and control? Hello there, you awakening wonders. Happy New Year to you. What a glorious start to a glorious new year it is. Now that we have the foxes in the henhouse, we can see with more clarity the nature of the previous administration's errings and deceptions. Within their HHS, we got Bhattacharya telling us that they were conveying propaganda. And within the FBI, we have Patel telling us that January the 6th likely had numerous FBI informants there in the crowd, escalating tensions. Is it possible that everything we receive as crisis is somehow opportunity to the powerful? Let's have a look at Patel on Tim Pool and analyze what he's saying.
What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th.
Cash is obviously responding to an Inspector General report that revealed that amidst the crowd there were various operatives. I suppose it's not unusual to have deep cover operatives within situations, but with many of us so skeptical and cynical that much of what we read in the news are false flag events, it makes sense that we would investigate this. I wonder, let me know in the comments and chat, do you think that the FBI is going to significantly change as a result of its new leadership and the new direction?
Because if you can show that, you know they've been out, hang on, but the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup. Minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows.
Just for people who you can't see what's going on in the room, the reason why Cash just said hang on or whatever is because I started smirking and rolling my eyes. And what I meant to convey with that is, come on, we know they were involved.
No, look, I totally
clarify,
agree.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know definitively. What I'm saying is a reasonable suspicion is that there were agents. There's a video showing a guy with an earpiece pulling people into the building. All right. Mm-hmm. You combine that with the evidence of Ray Epps, and it looks like you have a preponderance of evidence suggesting there may have been federal law enforcement involved in making that thing happen.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt.
All
Two
right.
pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die, or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele, Halper, and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you they were there.
So you're saying that she said I can't answer that because the answer is yes,
yeah,
and that would compromise whatever their operation was.
Exactly.
So when you listen to Patel and Tim Pool there, what becomes clear is there's significant and sufficient evidence that suggests that the FBI were in a number of ways involved in the events of January 6th. Curiously, that was not revealed or at least confirmed beyond doubt at the congressional hearings that pertained to those events. Here is Clay Higgins talking to the then leadership of the FBI. At this House Judiciary hearing, Clay Higgins is questioning former FBI Director Christopher Asher Ray. And it seems even then, back in 2023, there were a lot of unanswered questions. Let's have a look.
Rally thrown on January 6th. You confirmed that the FBI had confidential human sources at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th here in D.C., sir?
Congressman, as we've discussed before, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. But what I can tell you...
Okay, we'll move on.
Because if I did that, you'd start to realize that the FBI are significantly involved in these events, and people that are conspiracy theorists that use terms like that was a false flag event and say never trust the government and that the legacy media are amplifying the message of the state are telling the truth, and we, when we attempt to censor and jail people, are lying. Bear in mind the number of people that served significant painful sentences as a result of the events on that day. And also bear in mind what's happening in my country, the UK, where people are also being jailed for free speech and activist events, which are now conveniently regarded as either racist or xenophobic or hateful. The recategorization of dissent as evil is necessary for new centralized power to continue to succeed.
You asked for a definitive
We'll move
answer.
on. It's my time. You said no, you're not going to answer. That's cool. We're watching.
Mr. Chairman, may I answer the question?
Your moment will come. This is my time. Earlier this year, an FBI informant who is reported to have, quote, under oath, marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boys members on January the 6th, close quote. He said he was communicating with his FBI handler while people were entering the U.S. Capitol. Can you confirm that the FBI had that sort of engagement with your own agents embedded into the crowd on January 6th?
Add to that Tim Pool saying that there's actual footage of a dude in an earpiece ushering people into the building. And our collective memory of Tucker Carlson's conversation with Ray Epps that ultimately, along with significant amounts of footage, seemed to reveal that whilst, of course, there were flashpoints of violence, the idea that this was an insurrection rather than a protest that had heated moments, like protests generally do, that likely was used by the media and the state to legitimize further authoritative measures, is increasingly plausible. I can't remember where I was at the beginning of that sentence, but basically what I'm saying is when you add everything together, it looks like a lot of shady stuff went down though. And what about when you just remember this general paradigm? Are people using this event to get more control? You can apply it to anything. War between Ukraine and Russia. Are they using this to get more control? Well, yeah, certainly through tax dollars and media reporting. Pandemic? Oh, yeah, through the near mandating of medicines and actual mandating in some cases. Through January 6th, yeah, they're going to pass a bunch of laws on this basis. What about in the UK with new, in order to ensure that people aren't taking new digital IDs? Does it lead to control? Does this lead to further government control? There are two questions, really. Does this lead to corporate and commercial profits? Yes. Does it lead to more government control? Those are the two questions that I think you can ask with any news story. And if the answer to one or both of them is yes, what you've got there is some sort of coup. Most coffee out there is basically the liquid equivalent of a participation trophy. Bland, mass-produced, utterly forgetful. But peaberry beans, they're not here to play nice. You get yourself that peaberry, you'll know you've been caffeinated. It's 1775, baby. These rare little rebels make up less than 10% of the entire coffee harvest. Instead of sticking to the crowd, they grow solo, resulting in a denser, more intense bean that doesn't just follow the herd. These beans are grown at high altitudes and are hand-picked at their peak, because if you're going to do something, do it right, yeah? Do them beans right. Thanks to their unique solo act, peaberries deliver richer flavours, a smoother finish, and a touch more caffeine to keep you sharp and focused, like the universe intended. This isn't your corporate coffee sludge. This is for those who see through the nonsense and demand a cup that's as real as it gets. Why settle for anything less than the sweetest peaberries, those rarest among beans? So if you're tired of sipping on mediocrity, go to 1775coffee.com. Use my special code BRAND to get 15% off. Don't just wake up properly to 1775. Revolutionary coffee in the revolution against mediocrity.
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and/or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying
not.
no?
No.
Yes, the answer is yes. I'm going to say yes now. I'm going to surprise you people here. I like wine.
All this wine nonsense. You get all these wine people, don't you? You know, wine this, wine that. Sometimes you just want to say, oh, sod all this wine.
I'd love to make a genuinely popular wine programme.
Can I just shock you? I like wine.
You're saying no?
Not
Okay.
violence orchestrated by
move
FBI
on.
sources or agents.
Are you familiar with you know what a ghost vehicle is? Director of the FBI certainly should. You know what a ghost bus is?
A ghost bus?
Ghost bus.
I'm not sure I've used that term before.
Okay.
I know what Ghostbusters are. Those are the people that you call if there's something strange in the neighborhood. But a ghost bus, I don't know. Is that how Casper gets to school?
It's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle that's used for secret purposes. It's painted over. These two buses in the middle here, they were the first to arrive at Union Station on January 6th, 0500. I have all this evidence. I'm showing you a tip of this iceberg.
Mr. Chairman.
These two buses
Mr.
are
Chairman.
painted completely white.
Point of order.
Point of order. Sure.
Just run over the time.
I understand.
We've run out of time. They know about the Ghostbusters. They know about Ghostbusters. Shut this shit down. Ray Parker Jr. is involved now. I love it when things like that happen, when it's sort of like, well, look at these buses. Also, I like Clay Higgins' style. Okay, I'm cool. This is my time. Look at those buses. They've been painted over. They're Ghostbusters. And I'm not talking about the remake with the ladies, which I didn't enjoy, or the Paul Rudd one, the too nostalgic. I'm talking about original Ghostbusters, not even the cartoon or the toy. That is something strange in the neighborhood. What you gonna call it? An insurrection.
But you'll recall that Miss Jackson Lee's been allowed to go 2 minutes before. I've been very fair in letting people finish their questioning throughout my tenure as chairman, and I'll continue to be fair on that regard. But I will make a note to the members, if you could stay as close within your time as possible. We have a lot of people that want to ask these gentlemen questions. So with that, the gentleman yields. But your point, I've been very fair in this, Mr. Ivey.
He's now just gotten sidetracked from the point of the entire hearing. I'm actually doing a very good job here. I'm letting people... This hearing's not about how well you're doing the hearing. It's funny, isn't it? Because we're all actually just human beings, deeply fallible and personal. Think about how many of your political perspectives are actually informed by just something that happened to you once, or some belief you picked up from a granddad somewhere. Hey, I'm a good timekeeper. My mama told me that always. I used to time my brothers and sisters racing in the yard. Don't you question my mama.
Everybody on this side of the aisle just as much.
I don't think I accuse you of being unfair, Mr. Chairman.
You're making a point. Okay, thank you. I now recognize Mr.
May I
Gray.
close this statement, Mr.
No,
Chairman?
I think your time is expired.
January 6th is yet another one of those pivotal news stories that can be used to diagnose what your tribal alliances are. You can watch Stephen Colbert late at night talking about Jan 6, and you would assume that it was almost the Boston riots that led to the Declaration of Independence. You can watch Tim Pool talking about it with Patel, and it's like, this was an engineered event. In a way, we've moved well into a time where objectivity has fractured into 1,000 subjectivities. Somehow we have to discern truth from the midst of this, while acknowledging that we are human beings, flawed and fallible, and we bring extraordinary biases to all of these news events. I think what this leads us to could be put simply: do you just want government to be involved with management and administration rather than using their position and authority to control and exploit you and do really big deals everywhere? I do. Do you want government that, in so much as it exists, use its authority and power to represent and serve you and oppose potential alien, I mean that in every sense nowadays, and foreign threats, as well as curtailing the zeal and greed of corporate interests? I do. Have we had that under recent administrations? Do we pray for it now? Lord, I hope that that is able to be the change, so that January 6th can just be a date again. Let's make January 6th a date again, just the date between January 5th and January 7th, rather than some sort of bizarre religious holiday that divides people across America. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think on the comments and the chat? Remember, you can get Rumble Premium, and if you use the code BRAND, you get special discounts that are fantastic and brilliant and marvelous. We are back pretty soon, streaming every day with fantastic guests and amazing content just for you. See you over there on Rumble, where we can speak freely. In the meantime, if you can, stay free. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.